Okay, so what does living the good life have to do with our next entrepreneur? It's Lorie Brown from yournurseattorney.com and empowerednurses.org. And I am here with Jen Owens, a nurse practitioner who loves bluegrass, actually the jam grass, as she calls it. So anyways, she actually hula hoops to the bluegrass music and keeps in wonderful shape. So I'm so excited to have you, Jen, on the show. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me, Lorie.
So Jen Owens is a nurse practitioner with an integrative nurse practitioner. She has started 2 successful integrative medicine practices, one in Bloomington, Indiana, and one in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. And she's now working on her 3rd practice. Jen also coaches and trains other APRNs on how to start successful and profitable integrative medicine practices. So welcome.
Thank you.
So how did you decide to become a nurse practitioner and start your integrative medicine practice?
Sure. I started in natural medicine back in 1992. I learned about herbs because I was struggling with my own sinus infections. I'd had chronic sinus infections for years. And a friend said, well, why don't you try herbs? And I thought, well, what in the heck are herbs?
Yeah.
So I started learning about herbs. I started reading. I did home study courses. I did Rosemary Gladstar, if people know who she is. She's our mother of modern herbalism. And I did her course back when she wrote to you, we wrote on paper. That's how long ago it was. We didn't use computers.
Wow.
I typewrited one lesson, which is really funny. And then I started learning more about herbs and practicing herbalism and realized that I didn't know anything about the medications that people were taking, which made me nervous. I didn't know enough about pathophysiology. So I thought, well, I'm either going to become a dietitian or a nurse, because those seemed like the things, you're young and you're deciding what to do. And so I decided to do nursing, and really, truly, it was because it was shorter, which is funny now because I love nursing so much. Mm-hmm. So I went and I already had a bachelor's degree. So I went and did an associate's degree of nursing. And even in that, as an RN, I realized, well, I still can't diagnose and treat people. So it felt like a barrier at that point. So I decided to become a nurse practitioner. Mm-hmm. And then now I call it integrative medicine because I really treat the whole person. Yeah. And a lot of what I do is not just doing testing and doing supplements, which seems to be kind of the common theme in natural medicine these days. I really work with people on their lifestyle and how they can eat, move their bodies, feel good emotionally, spiritually, financially. And so that's what I call integrative medicine, putting it all together. And that's what I love to practice now.
That sounds great. Wow. And so what does bluegrass and hula hooping have in common with being an entrepreneur?
Well, the days can be long. The days can be a little stressful at times. And so it's one of my favorite things to do when I get home. I feel like moving my body is the best thing I can do to begin to unwind. And the song that I chose is called The Good Life. And it sort of represents why I want to be an entrepreneur. So I want to be able to get off work when I want to get off work. I want to be able to make my decisions about weekend trips or whatever that I want to do. I don't want to be on call on the weekends. So it gives me the freedom that I want, and then gives me the opportunity at the end of the day to unwind from whatever came. And I love to be barefoot on the earth. So I really feel like the benefit of hula hooping barefoot in my yard after a long day just brings me back to who I am and why I'm here. And also brings me rest and relaxation for my evening.
That's great. And that's you and your husband's favorite theme song, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the good life. If we're living the good life, things are pretty good. And it doesn't, it means different things to different people. And we know just what that means for us.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great. So how did you get the courage to step out on your own and start your own integrative medicine practice?
Yeah, and that it kind of was a kick. I had thought about it. I planned on it. It was one of those, it'll happen someday kinds of things. And I was working with another practitioner, and it was a long commute for me. Mm-hmm. And I had asked to bring my hours down at that location, and then I was going to maybe just do something else part-time closer to home. Excuse me. And the person I was working with didn't want a part-time person. She only wanted a full-time person. And so she let me go with only 3 days notice.
Oh.
So, yeah. And so, but it was exactly what I needed, because then I reached out to a person who said he would be in Indiana. I was required to have a collaborator. In Oregon, we don't have to have a collaborator, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But in Indiana, we did. And so I reached out to someone and he was like, I'll totally be your collaborator. And here's a space in my office. You can use it. It's not doing anything. And so it all just fell into place so that I could start my practice. And, you know, it was really fast. So, you know, one of the things that I try to tell the people that are in my circles with my training is like, go ahead and start so that you don't have to do like I did and crash into it and have to figure it all out in a really short amount of time. It's a lot nicer if you can steadily set things up like I've been able to do with this second practice. A lot more freedom here.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of how I started too. I was a partner in a law firm, and my biggest client, an insurance company, went out of business. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I thought my partners would stand by me, and they didn't. And so I was like, I felt like I was dropped on the ground, but had to figure out what was next. And finding another job, being pregnant, and not being able to have business to bring with you doesn't equal billable hours.
Right.
And going back to nursing, they didn't have 12-hour daycare. So yeah, so I think, yeah, there's two ways to start a business, the easy way and the hard way. And I think we both started the hard way.
Yeah, I will say that for sure. I laugh at some of the decisions that I made now and some of the choices. It's like, oh, only if I had known, but you know, it's all part of it.
Yeah, but that's actually one of the questions is, you know, what was your biggest mistake and what did you learn from it? Because we all make mistakes. Fortunately, this time it doesn't cost patients lives.
Yes, that is the good thing. Yeah, that's always my number one goal. All my clients living for sure. Goodness, I mean, there's a list. And luckily I've been able to forgive myself for all of these. I think the most expensive was not getting legal advice early enough and trying to set things up like my LLC on my own and making some errors that ended up costing me a lot of accounting money. And it's kind of a long story, but it was like, I think it's in general, not seeking help soon enough is the biggest mistake I've made several times. Like not getting coaching soon enough when I think coaching is like the most wonderful thing we can give ourselves as far as having a support person and an advisor and a mentor, and it saves your marriage too. Because husbands and partners, they want to be there, but they're not trained to do it. Yeah. So getting legal advice, and that's one of the things I tell people all the time. It's like legal advice, and I know this helps. This is what you do, but it's really true. It's getting legal advice early saves you more money than cleaning up a mess later. So many times. So legal advice, coaching, having a good accountant, bookkeeper person, those are all really things that save you. They feel expensive and they save you in the long run. Yeah. Just multiple times in my business.
And I'm very adamant, start your business on solid legal ground, because I think the number one reason why business go under is because of lawsuits, because you can't afford to defend them.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. So so you also teach nurse practitioners on how to start an integrative medicine practice, right?
Yes.
So talk to us about that.
Sure. Well, what I found was once I started, my practice in Indiana was really successful, so successful that I was able to sell it for enough money that I was able to come here and relax and have a few months off and start a new practice. And so a lot of people just started asking me, well, how'd you do that? I found myself saying the same things and then realizing like, you know, this is a lot of my time and energy and I probably should be getting paid to share all this information. So I started doing mentoring, coaching, and then also realized that I was saying the same thing over and over and over again. So I developed a training program, and it's all the juicy nuggets, it's like my love child of things that I do. It's so fun for me. I started it last summer, and in the course of the last year, I've helped 7 clinics start all over the country. And it's really exciting to see, and getting to see people get to practice the way they want to practice and get to have time with their clients to educate, time to care about them and love on them and give them hope and all the things we all wish we had time to do. I'm getting to help people create that. And it's so fun. And I also have a free group online that I can give you the link for anybody who's even just thinking about it, if they want to come in. And I just try to offer inspiration and hope. I think a lot of us feel like we don't know enough. We don't have enough money. There's all these barriers that people come up that, we either are true or partially true, or we talk ourselves into believing. And so my mission is really to help inspire people that they really do know enough. And integrative medicine doesn't mean functional medicine, which is like the hot topic right now. And functional medicine is awesome. And I do a lot of functional medicine. And it really means helping people with life. People are failing at life. People don't know how to eat. They don't know how to move their bodies. They're emotionally stuck. And nurses are bred for integrative medicine from the beginning. Remember the nursing care plans? Those integrative medicine right there, like we are bred for it. So I really just try to encourage people that if it's their dream and it's something that they want to do, I think it's easier than we make it out to be. And especially with guidance and help, which is why I decided to start the program, because I know what happened to me. I was all alone and it was a lot to figure out. And now I hope people will see they don't have to figure it all out on their own.
That's great. That's great. And it's so important to find somebody who's done what you want to do or is successful that you can just model after. It shortens the learning curve significantly. And I know I wish there was somebody out there who could have helped me at that time too.
Sure. And it's and you know this, and I don't think people realize that 90% of owning your own business is your mindset.
It is.
You believe you can do it, and you wake up every morning and you know how to energize yourself if you're not feeling energized, and you know how to visualize in your future, and you know how to keep yourself in the place that you can receive the right clients for you, and that you can share your knowledge in the most perfect way for you, then that's what keeps you successful. So a lot of my program is about mindset and becoming a savvy entrepreneur, even more than like the actual, all the steps are figure outable. I know everybody can Google how to do a business, but not everybody can learn how to be an entrepreneur and be happy and satisfied and fulfilled in that every day. That's the hard part.
Right. The key is managing your mind. It definitely is.
Absolutely.
So you've said something, I want to go back to it. If any of our listeners' husbands may not be supportive, what would you recommend?
Well, it's a hard one. I mean, I think that owning a business is a family affair. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I do free calls with people all the time, and I really encourage the husbands to be on the calls too, because I think that for them, it's the same concerns that we all have. How will we earn enough money? A lot of, especially nurse practitioners, are making a pretty good income, and then to kind of feel like they have to walk away from that is really, it's really scary. I get it completely. Finding out what it really is about, I think, with partners, there's usually a hidden fear. Maybe their father failed at business. Maybe they failed at a business. Maybe someone they know. There's some sort of underlying belief or fear that if we can get under that and support them, that is really helpful. I also see kind of what happens is when women, and I work with a lot of women, a lot of nurses are women, so women tend to come into our languaging. A lot of the women that I see become so expansive when they begin to practice the way they want to practice and they get to live their dreams, that there becomes a resistance with the husband. They don't know this person. They don't know, it's really a big change that happens in people. And so it's being patient and loving with the partner too, because they're going through an adjustment time also. And I think we get so frustrated with our guys, like, you should be my number one supporter and you should be there for me. And if they can't quite do it, we get frustrated instead of being there for them too and trying to help uncover it. Because there usually is something that we can sort out with them if we're taking the time to really hear it.
Yes, that's so true, because they're used to relating to you in one way. And entrepreneurship is the biggest personal growth experience anybody can have. And as you're growing and learning and developing, your husband's like, wait a minute, I'm used to relating to you one way and now you're this way. And it's all can be worked out, but just know that there's going to be just some getting used to the new you.
And for real, like getting a coach, it doesn't have to be me. Like if I'm the right person, then great. If not, get a coach. There's so many business coaches out there now. Even if it's a life coach who can help you sort these things out, like getting support is, I 100% believe that having a coach has saved my marriage. I mean it, like really, like it's been, because also they get saturated. They want to be there for you and they want to listen and they want to be your number one supporter, and they have a life too, and you might have children and you might have lots of things going on. So expecting them to be that it's a little of a high expectation for anyone to manage that role.
And what I see over and over again is nurses are frustrated with nursing, and so they go become an NP, and they think that their problems are going to be solved, that they're going to have more autonomy and be able to practice the way they want to. And then, unfortunately, it's a rude reality. It's not that way. You're forced to see patients in 10-minute increments, and as nurses, we want to know everything about them. We want to practice holistically, and we're not fulfilled going to become nurse practitioners.
I hear a lot. When I talk to people on the phone, they're like, this isn't what I expected. And that's, again, why I'm saying you can do it a different way. There really are other ways to do it. It's just going to take the tenacity. That's one of my favorite words with this. It's like, do you have the tenacity to do it? And picking myself up every single day is my hardest job. It's not the job or the business or all that. It's the waking up and know, like, if I don't have a full schedule, like trusting that people are coming, and that the trust in the process is another huge learning experience that I've been through. We're all A types. We want to control.
Mm-hmm.
And owning your business, I call it like having a baby. Like
Yeah.
you have all these plans for what your baby's going to do. It's going to sleep through, your baby's going to sleep through the night. Your baby's going to nurse perfectly. And your baby's going to do all these things. And then you have your baby and you realize my baby does whatever my baby wants to do.
Right.
It's kind of similar. If you can meet your business just like you would meet your baby and work with it and work around it and be you in your business and not be afraid to be you, because that's what's going to attract your people, then it will work.
Yes, you can't fail. Businesses don't fail. Business owners fail, because this is an endurance event, not a sprint. So you've got to be in it for the long haul. Jen used the word perseverance. Or tenacity. I use the word perseverance. Mm-hmm. And you can't fail. If you have the right market, the right marketing, and the right strategy, you can't fail.
And I really would add, again, like I just said too, like it's so many people they want to start a business to fit a mold. And what I say, and I'll do a call with someone, I'll say, I'm going to do this thing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, does that sound fun? And they're kind of pause, like, well, what do you mean, does it sound fun? Like, does that sound fun to do every single day? Because if you just want a humdrum job, you can get that.
Right.
You want to live your best life, it's got to sound fun and exciting. Like I start things and then I realize that this is not fun. And I just stop doing it and I try something else. If it's not fun, I mean, obviously not everything is like woohoo fun. I just mean like enjoyable, and you love the conversations you're having with people. And if you're willing to be you through your work and through your marketing, you will attract the people who want that from you.
Absolutely. I'm going to add mindset to my things, that the market, the marketing, the mindset, and the strategy.
Absolutely.
So then you can't fail.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said, you have to love what you do, because you have to be passionate and in order to get out of bed and do the hard things, because you're going to be pushed up against your comfort zone every step of the way. But you have to walk through that fear in order to be successful.
Absolutely. And it's fun. Like I love when people say starting a business is the biggest personal development journey you'll ever go on. And it's absolutely 100% true. And it's true every time you make a change. It's like, oh, I'm going to add this I'm getting ready to work on a third practice that I'm going to bring other people into. And I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And so there's so many things that come up for me, and I go through just what my new people go through often. it's just the next phase. And like, you know, the whole onion thing is really true. You just keep peeling back your own layers of your own onion. And I say, when will the onion ever be unpeeled? And guess what? Never.
Never.
Well.
So true. You also said something I want to go back to about integrative medicine practices. I think that as a society, we are tired of paying these huge premiums for insurance and with these huge deductibles, and basically we're getting pills and it's sick care, it's not health care. And with integrative medicine, you're actually providing health, because we are not going to get out of this journey alive. We're all going to die. The question is, how well do you want to live while you're here?
It's true. And it's surprising. Like, a lot of people feel like, I encourage people to do a cash pay practice in my training because of what we do and the time we want to spend with people. And people think like, oh, well, if I do cash pay, I'm only going to get rich people. And I really found that not to be true at all. I've had some people that were living below the poverty level and chose to spend their money on the services that I offered, and were very grateful for me and grateful for the services, because that's the kind of healthcare they want. So there's a big misnomer. It doesn't mean you have to be like stab people in the back cash pay. It can be a really reasonable rate. And if you think about what people are spending money on, going out to dinner is $150, and in an hour with me at $150, your life is going to change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people, I think that's one of the things that I talk about in a lot of my information. It's like, don't assume what people will pay, because when you do that, you make them unavailable to get your services. Like, you're taking their dream of having a provider like you away from them. And I've seen it time and time again. I've of course seen wealthy people, but really my main population in all my businesses have been middle class people, for the most part. So people
people will put money into what they value, what's important to them. So if healthcare is important, they'll put money in healthcare.
Well, and it's also the way that I recommend doing it is like the love of your client. So if you're sitting with someone and you're intently, actively listening to them, you're offering them whatever hope is possible to offer them. I mean, we as nurses know we don't offer hope if, you know, we're not false hope people. Yeah. And a lot of times there is hope. And then if we're really listening, we're going to really figure out what is going on so that we can then help them shift that thing. They're going to feel listened to. They're going to feel valued. They're going to be given hope. And then you're going to actually figure out what's going on and give them the education to make the change. And then they're going to tell their friends. So marketing is actually a lot easier, I think, when we practice this way than when we're like, hi, I am Jen Owens, I am nurse practitioner, I do this. Like, no one really cares what you do. They care what they get.
Yeah, and how you make them feel too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so important. You know, if they feel loved and cared for, it's going to go a long way.
It makes a huge, I mean, I have people from Indiana. I just did a consult with one of my clients from Indiana online, and I'm not practicing like medicine with her. I practiced listening with her, and she's going through a lot. And I gave her like 3 or 4 tools about what to eat and how like tapping, which is what I won't go into it, but emotional freedom technique, which is a great technique I teach a lot of people. If you don't know what it is, just Google it. And it, like, just a few simple things, and it just had made the biggest difference in her. And it wasn't hard or complicated or 20 supplements. Like, I'm tired. Natural medicine has gone so far, just like conventional medicine, where we're just giving people more pills to take, and we're actually still not helping them with life. So think of your nursing brain. That's all you need to do this.
So speaking of your nursing brain, you've been very generous to give a free gift. It's called the Getting Started Guide for nurse practitioners who are thinking about starting an integrative medicine practice clinic, right?
Correct.
Why don't you share a little bit about it?
Sure. I made it because I do free calls with anybody who just wants to talk about it and explore it and run their idea by somebody. And then, of course, if they're right for coaching, I tell them that. Most of the time we just talk on the phone. And what I found was there were like kind of 7 common things, and I made those into the Get Started Guide. And so it's about, 12 or 15 pages of things that you can work through to help you establish like why you really want to do this, tips for finding a collaborator, because that's a big barrier for a lot of people in a lot of states. Starting to think about the finances. So all the basic concerns that come up. And a lot of people tell me, I have no idea where to even start. And so I made this free resource for everybody just to help you with all those basic things in the beginning, because I know that like when more great people start more great clinics, more people get great care, and it's this ripple effect. And it's part of the change we all want to see in healthcare. And so my mission is to inspire and activate people to live out what they really want to do. And so the Get Started guide is like here you go. Here's how to get started.
Yeah, well, that's so generous of you. Thank you. We're going to put the link by this video so you can get your Get Started guide. I love the title. It's so clear.
It is very clear.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. So anyways, what advice do you have for new nurses who'd like to start a business, or a nurse practitioner who wants to start an integrative medicine practice?
I think we've touched on some of it, but I would say it's two things. And one is in the Get Started guide, and it's know your why. It's really important to know why you want to do this, because you can go back to your why every time you have a bad day. I know why I'm doing this, because you will say, why am I doing this? And you have it written down. You know why, so you can go back to it. And then follow your heart. Don't create a practice that you think people want. Create the practice that you want to offer to people, because then your people who love you and need your help will find you.
It's so true. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Jen, I feel like I have the best job in the world because I get to talk to people like you.
Yeah,
and
thank you for doing this. It's so exciting. I can't wait to hear
appreciate it. I've been having a blast talking to the most amazing nurse entrepreneurs. And I've always said it, nurses are the most brilliant people on the planet. And I'm so grateful I get the pleasure to talking to them. And thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lorie.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.